Hello and welcome to the Popculture Jungle for the Wednesday edition, where we review a show or TV show or a movie. I'm really struggling tonight. Whatever it is, we're going through.
Good.
I don't know. I stumbled like crazy on that. It's been a long week. But we are talking about at this moment still Daredevil. We are 2 weeks. Next week's last week.
Next week is the finale.
Next week is the first season 1 finale. I need to pull up a calendar. I need to see. Yeah. And then the following week, we start Andor season 2.
Oh, yeah. No breaks.
No breaks. So it probably will be the 19th will be our Andor season 1 review.
Okay.
We'll work that in there and go over all that because we are both binging it right now.
I finished today.
You finished today. I'm not as far along with you as you are. I'm where am I? I'm 1 second. Disney Plus. You need to come back down to the studio so I can use these, stupid pieces of cardboard in front of me sometimes.
I know what you're talking about.
Lorcana.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Because at this point, do I need to buy any new Lorcana next month? Because we haven't touched it.
I don't know yet.
Andor. Apparently, there's a newly added Andor season 1 recap. Episode 6 is where I'm at. That's right. I just hit the halfway point.
You're halfway.
So we'll binge through that. We'll do the reviews of that again on the 19th. To start Andor season 2 live when those come out. We just got to binge we have like a day and a half to binge 3 episodes a week.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a 6 p.m. show or not.
They're batch dropping those ones. That one's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Why is your screen blue?
We'll get into that.
Okay. But we're here now. It's time for Daredevil. It was a good episode. Justin's going to give us the synopsis.
Spoilers ahead for Daredevil Born Again, Season 1, Episode 8. That's the YouTube. All right. So, in Daredevil Born Again's penultimate episode, Isle of Joy, Bullseye escapes from prison, tries to murder Mayor Fisk, and inadvertently takes out Matt Murdock when the man without fear leaps into action to save the former Kingpin of crime. Loki and Moon Knight. Oh, this is coming from comicbookmovie.com, per usual. Loki and Moon Knight's directors Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead helmed Born Again's new pilot and show's final 2 episodes. So as we were saying previously, this is entirely reshoot. And that's why it looks good. And that's why it's actually good. During his investigation into Foggy Nelson's murder, Matt visits his best friend's killer in prison, loses his cool, and unknowingly loosens one of the former FBI agent's teeth. That eventually helps Bullseye to escape, but it wasn't intentional. Face Heroes... Am I on the right one? No, I'm not. Oops. I just saw a comic book movie and I assumed it was the synopsis. Here we go.
I even reminded you early today.
I clicked the wrong link, okay? With Muse dealt with, tonight's episode picks up in prison, where we catch up with Benjamin Poindexter, who, despite his murderous rampage in the season premiere, still insists he isn't supposed to be locked up. Excuse me. He then gets an unwelcome surprise when he's transferred to Gen Pop and left to fend for himself against a horde of angry prisoners. Cue the credits. Wilson commends Vanessa for her leadership in taking care of the Luca problem. The couple seems stronger than ever, which can't mean anything good for the people of New York. Back at Matt's apartment, Murdock and Heather Glenn reflect on Muse's attack. She starts comparing Muse and Daredevil, which doesn't sit well with Matt, especially when she calls them undeveloped boys hiding behind masks. He argues that Daredevil saved her, but she insists she saved herself before the debate can continue. There's a knock at the door. It's Fisk's right-hand man, Buck Cashman, delivering Dr. Glenn an invitation from the mayor to an inaugural black and white ball benefiting the Red Hook Port Revitalization Project. Matt loses it, warning Heather that Fisk is evil, but she seems unconvinced and has brought into the mayor's claim that vigilantes endanger society. She invites Matt to accompany her tonight, but he leaves without giving a definitive answer. At the same time, Fisk takes Vanessa to his lair, where she discovers he has been keeping her former lover, Adam, prisoner. Fisk tells her he's a better man now, but he just couldn't let this go. Then shows her the key, offering her a chance to free Adam. While Adam pleads for his life, Vanessa appears to consider it before shooting him point blank. The lovebirds reaffirm their devotion and are finally back on the same page. I want to talk about this scene here real quick.
Okay.
These two scenes are intercut between each other. And it's to show you the polarity and similarity of the two characters, which is, I guess, the main theme of the show in all three seasons. Yeah. Especially this one, though. And both couples are having an argument in this moment. It's just one feels like it wants to solve its problems, and the other one just wants to argue its problems.
Which one do you think is which?
I feel like Fisk and Vanessa want to solve their problems, and that's why they go into therapy, obviously. And something that this leaves out is that when he shows her the key, I believe he's also holding a gun, but he's holding it open to her. And that's where she gets the gun from. And there's a line of dialogue that he says where he says, if I can't be with you, I just can't be. And I interpreted that as, if you choose him, you might as well shoot me here and now.
Yep.
And that's why he's offering her the gun.
Yep.
Which I thought was brilliant. Anyway.
Yeah. It's also really good emotional manipulation on Fisk's part. Like, do not take Fisk as a role model character. Do not do this to somebody, but it's really good emotional manipulation.
Yeah. All right. Matt reaches his office where Kirsten McDuffie informs him that what? That's not his name. I don't know why they say Dex Poindexter, but Poindexter has requested a meeting, unexpected to say the least. Matt asks who moved Poindexter to Gen Pop, and unsurprisingly learns it was Mayor Fisk. Meanwhile, Mayor Fisk is celebrating the success of implementing his anti-vigilante task force, excessive force and all, and praises Daniel Blake for bringing BB Urich in line. He then shocks Sheila Rivera by promoting Blake to deputy mayor for communications. Mm-hmm. Matt and Kirsten meet a prospective client accused of defrauding teachers, and Matt senses he's lying, loses his cool, and calls him out, and storms off. Kirsten tries to talk him down, but Matt becomes increasingly delusioned after everything that's happened this season. He heads to Josie's the first time since Foggy's death and catches up with Josie before Cherry finds him. Matt is convinced they must have missed something, but Cherry is uncertain. Josie returns with a bottle of O'Melvinese, the drink that Foggy had in the premiere, and Matt protests that Foggy wasn't drinking that, but Josie knows her patrons better than anyone. Matt suddenly realizes Foggy was celebrating an impending win in the Dumb Benny case right before Bullseye silenced him. Matt bolts to confront Bullseye in prison. Murdock and Poindexter finally face each other for the first time since the premiere. Matt demands to know who hired Dex to kill Foggy, but he deflects. Matt, done with the bullshit, suspects that Wilson Fisk. Dex remains non-committal and says he'll only talk if Matt gets him out of prison. In a rage, Matt slams Dex's face into the table 3 times. Dex thanks him before guards drag him away, and Murdock fires off a solid bad word at him.
This scene here was intense.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what in the world is going on with Matt? There's a lot of inner turmoil that we get to see throughout this episode for Matt.
Yeah.
And again, no Daredevil this episode.
No Daredevil this episode, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. You can go on.
You're good. We cut to the black and white ball, and Sheila tries to cancel Daniel, but his ego is off the charts and can no longer be reasoned with. He then checks in with BB, who reminds him that they're not in a good place. Jack, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his name, and Artemis Sledge are also present at the ball. The Sledge seems spooked. Heather tries to call Matt again, but no luck. Then Wilson and Vanessa make their entrance. I want to talk about a couple things in this paragraph here. First of all, there is a 1 minute all-in-one cutscene, or all-in-one shot scene here, where they're kind of setting the table with this scene and showing you everybody who's at the ball all in one cut, which I really like.
Yeah.
And then secondly, I want to talk about the dress code and specifically what Vanessa and Kingpin are wearing. Obviously it's a black and white ball, so the dress code is black tie. Neither of them are wearing black.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about Vanessa first. Vanessa's wearing an all red dress with red lipstick, and that's like the only red in the room at all, because everything else is either brown from the room, white from the room or other patrons, and black from other patrons. So it's like stock imagery that she is wearing red, and she pulls your attention, right? But then Kingpin, and this makes me happy, George, is in all white, comic accurate suit for the second time in the series. And that made me so happy, George, because not only is it comic accurate, like I mentioned, but also it's a stark, yeah, perfect. It is a stark contrast to her dark red dress. And I'm going to talk about it at the end, but it's a wise decision that I'll get back to. Okay.
There's a, without you knowing it, there's in this one shot, there's a lot of like film theory and subconsciously explaining to the audience member what they need to know before they get to know it.
It's so good. It's so good from a filmography standpoint. It is so good. Let me pull up a that's exactly what I was looking for. That's not what I wanted. Wow, that's awful. Sorry. I'll just do this. It's fine. Bam. It's besides the cane. That's pretty darn close to that. Other than the black tie, it's when I think Kingpin suits, I think this all white suit. And that made me extremely happy.
I don't think that's what they were going for.
That's not what they were going for.
They're going for the symbolism of the colors.
It checks two boxes at once.
It did.
And that made me happy. All right, moving on, because we'll get back to that. Back in prison, Poindexter is treated for his injuries and is about to be led away when he cracks a smile. As it turns out, Matt's head slamming was deliberate and it loosened one of Deck's teeth, which he now spits out and flicks as a projectile to down a guard. And then he uses scissors to incapacitate both guard and doctor and escapes. So this is pulled directly from the comics, George. Did you know that?
It seemed like it. I don't know. I don't remember what episode, what comic it is, but it seemed like it.
Let me see if I can get the panel.
Because this episode seems very, very comic influenced.
Oh, here you go. Here's a perfect image.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. There's no way to open image, but yeah, you get it. Where it's literally
right click the image.
Right click. and then
Right
open a
click.
new tab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but like then I have to change which screen I'm sharing.
Oh, see, mine's updated now that I can, as long as I'm sharing a tab from Chrome,
Yeah.
I can click a new tab and tell it to share that tab instead.
Okay, I right click it or something.
No, it's just built into Chrome now for StreamYard.
Okay. I'll do it. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Okay. There you are. Like literally pulled from the comics.
Yeah.
Which that was sick. Matt arrives at the ball and heads straight for Fisk, but bumps into Heather first. He admits he visited Poindexter. She's not thrilled and tries to apologize for his erratic behavior, but is distracted by Fisk's closed-door conversation with Jack. Fisk tries to extort a Port Project donation by threatening to expose Jack's swordsman's activities, but Jack shows no interest and manages to leave unscathed. Do you know who this is, George?
I don't. I recognize.
Did you watch Hawkeye?
Okay, now I know who it is.
Yeah, okay.
Now I'm kind of.
Okay.
Because I recognize the character. I recognized who he was, but I didn't recognize who he was. Make sense?
And then there's a throwaway shot from the scene that he was in earlier in the season, or the episode that he was in earlier in the season from like a BB Urich documentary split in, where it's the swordsman fighting a group of gang criminals, and it's like he's just wearing all black fencer garb with like a black mask, and it's so funny to me.
Isn't he fighting the tracksuit mafia during that scene also?
I don't think so. I think it's just a random gang. That'd be too on the nose, I think. A reporter snaps a photo of Fisk leaving the meeting, but is caught by Officer Powell, who takes extreme measures to rough him up. Commissioner Gallo tries to intervene, but is powerless as these bad cops now answer only to Fisk. And when they say extreme, they mean extreme.
Hand in deep fryer.
They put a hand in the deep fryer, and that was a lot.
That was a lot.
When Blake brags, Urich manages to catch. While Blake brags, Urich manages to catch the commissioner before he leaves the party. She asks him if Fisk consulted him before forming the task force. He's reluctant to answer since her latest story was very pro-Fisk, but eventually admits that the task force is entirely Fisk's idea and tells her that Fisk was the prime suspect in her uncle's murder. She already knows and reveals that not everything she writes appears under her own name. He promises to send over files on every crooked cop in the task force, and she gives him her card before returning to the charade. Matt realizes the Fisks are Heather's clients and vows to confront Fisk publicly. As he moves, Vanessa reaches Wilson first, and they begin their first dance. Matt tells Heather that Wilson is a monster, and tired of running, pulls her onto the floor for a dance. At this time, Cashman gets a phone call. Poindexter has escaped, and we see that he's already infiltrated the ball. And Buck alerts Wilson and Vanessa, and she's clearly more rattled than her husband. Vanessa starts to confess something, but Matt pieces it together first. Vanessa was the one that ordered the hit on Foggy. He cuts in on the Fisk stance, whirling Vanessa away and accusing her of hiring Bullseye. She essentially confirms it and reveals she knows Matt is Daredevil. She tells him to relax, but he hears a gun being loaded. He then realizes Bullseye isn't aiming at Vanessa. He's targeting Wilson. I want to talk about this.
Well, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
So going back to what we were discussing. So cinema theory and such, straightforward. If we can portray ahead of time what we as the audience don't know to them in a symbolic way, this is straightforward. Everybody in this room is in, of course, their black tie affair. They're all dressed up nice. Fisk, who, straightforward, going through this part of the episode until we get to these scenes, I was sure Fisk is the one who ordered the hit on Foggy. And we start these scenes, and it's very clear for whatever reason, Fisk is in all white. White is a peaceful, neutral color, and usually you're innocent is always in your white. Where Vanessa is in this deep red, which I thought was an interesting choice, but I was like, okay, maybe they just want to make it easy because there's so many people in the scene that you can notice the two of them. And then we get these last parts. I'm like, oh no, this is full on color theory and full on just cinema like layout theory and such. This is beautiful storytelling.
Oh yeah. So the shot where he realizes that Bullseye is in the building and has the sniper is phenomenal to me, because in one shot, one take, I don't know if it's a digital focus or not, but they alter the focus and the aspect ratio of the camera to the point where, like, the entire show is basically in widescreen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except for this moment where it goes full screen as he's assessing the room, and then the focus cuts to the top balcony where Bullseye is, and then it goes back to widescreen zoomed in on Bullseye. And, like, I just want Marvel to take notes, because I'm tired of all these Marvel movies having the same feeling and looking all the same, because this is phenomenal camera work.
Yes.
Like, normally we rely on audio to convey Matt's senses, but I feel like I don't know about the original series, but this is the first time in Born Again where we rely on visual to show us Matt's senses. And that was, I literally had to pause the show because I was freaking out so much that they did something like this.
Yeah, no, the camera work in this show is probably some of the best camera work, in my opinion, we've seen from Marvel Studios. Not Marvel Television, not Marvel, whatever sub-branch you want to make at this, 5-second interval. The entire studios, this is probably some of the best camera work we've seen. And it's like, it's very creative, but it's also very practical camera work too.
Yeah.
Nothing in this show besides the episodes that were pre-reshoot. Nothing in this show feels half thought. Everything is very well thought out of how to tell a story. The episodes we have that were pre-reshoot feel very broken and disconnected from the rest of this.
Yeah.
And like they've nailed it. They finally have given me a show I enjoy. If Agatha had storytelling like this, I would not have complained throughout Agatha. Again, I'm looking at it here. Our weakest week was an 8 so far.
Yeah.
Like, that's really good. That is good storytelling. And yes, it's a little bit of fanboying at the moment because I personally like this character a lot, but you don't really have any attachment to this character going into this.
Going into this, no. I have more attachment to Kingpin, but that's because of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And, like, I just like Vincent D'Onofrio's performance of the role a lot.
He's a fantastic.
I feel like he nails the character. And so, like, that's all, like, attachment I really have to these. And, like, seeing them not just ride on name and character, they're riding on, hard work and, like, creative thinking. It's really, I hope this changes something at Marvel, even if it's just for television, because I'd argue that television is their weakest point right now. I
mean, yes, but that's not off by much at the moment. Right now, their studios isn't very good either. I mean, I will say this straightforward. If we step back to a conversation you and I have been battling on of, Doomsday and then the Infinity War and Endgame, if there was work like this done in those movies would be flawless. If they, and this is why I'm concerned about Doomsday, is we have so much going on, so many just big names. They're selling that movie based on names.
Yeah.
They're not going to be worried about, quick little camera flares or changes of aspect ratio, changes vertical to horizontal shots. All they're worried about is how do we get more people in the one shot to sell the movie. And so I really think going from this, especially since we should have the second season next year, if they keep this kind of storytelling going into the second season, which that should all be this current style.
Yeah, let me see if season 2 has the same directors attached.
I think so, because he just said that they had more than enough for one to split it to 2 seasons. But if they do the same storytelling style, Doomsday's in trouble, because Doomsday I don't see doing anywhere close to this kind of work. I don't know if we know what the technical name of next season is, though.
Born Again season 2.
Well, that's what everybody's calling it at the moment. We don't know if that's what it is.
Oh yeah, it could get a new name.
It could be a new name.
But then it would be like a full series. I don't know. Oh wait, no, it is just Born Again season 2, because it was initially planned as 18 episodes that was split into.
Correct. So that's why I think it was the same director who's already been signed on, because it's just the one season.
And it's scheduled to last until July, which means, yeah, it'll be out next year. I think. Yes, it's the same directors.
Yeah, it's also the same lead creator, and it's the same writing team.
It's also the same cinematographer. Yes.
Yeah, so
we're good. We won. It's already a 8 out of 10 minimum.
Daredevil Born Again season 2 is going to be very, very good, which is concerning for Avengers Doomsday, because you know how bad it's going to be if Born Again season 2 has higher reviews and ratings for its lower budget than, again, the 850 to 750 is what I conceded to $1 million movie of Doomsday.
We haven't even finished the synopsis, by the way.
Yeah, well,
we have one more line. Matt dives, taking the bullet for Kingpin.
Yeah,
panic erupts, and the devil lies bleeding on the ballroom floor.
If you open the video, you saw the thumbnail, so you know that Matt dives in front of the bullet.
I do want to speak on this a little bit more, and it gets more into film theory, because this entire episode, whenever we're seeing something from Bullseye's perspective, the screen shifts to a blue tone. They put like a blue filter over everything. Was that in season 3, or is that new to this series?
I don't believe it was in season 3. I believe that,
because I know the buzzing sound that accompanies that blue filter was in season 3.
I can't remember, to be honest with you. The other thing I was going to say about whenever we're focused on Poindexter, from his point of view, we also move off of our steady cam that we're using in 90% of the shots to more of a handheld cam. Other
than the last one, I agree.
Whenever he's moving, if he is moving, we're moving with him, and we're a little off kilter a little bit as we're going, except for when we're lined up for the shot, which of course now he's sturdy and he's focused in, and then the camera is sturdy and focused in on what he's doing.
I love the way this shot is framed, and specifically the way the set is dressed, because he's obviously on the balcony, and there's the brightly lit main room, and then everything on the balcony is dark, and obviously he's center, so you see him first, but he's
hold on. I'm cutting you off before you jump in and explain it all the way.
Okay.
One of the establishing shots when we get at the first ball is it's going and panning through everything, and so we're seeing all of Fisk's tactical squad, his task force.
Yeah,
they all very much are clear. They're no longer really officers. They are bodyguards, and they're here to protect Fisk. We see them all lined up around the room. It also does a pan up, and we see a
sniper overhead.
A cop sniper, which is very odd in the first place. Why you have a sniper inside of a ballroom?
Yeah.
This is where I was like, okay, you're important for later, but we do get to see the officer lined up there. Now going back to where Justin is talking about.
So the whole balcony's in dark, and obviously the sniper is center frame, but it lingers on this shot for like a good 5 seconds, maybe longer, as it's slowly zooming in on the sniper and turning blue, where like how the rest of the episode was whenever we would get Bullseye's perspective, and you go, oh, is this Bullseye? And your eyes travel down to the left a bit, and you see the sniper dead on the floor. And I went, what? It was insane. Because
because we get the scenes, because again we've been jumping to him leaving, and we get a scene of a officer coming through the kitchen and grabbing a big fork, and then a little bit later we get another scene of the same officer, and if you're paying close enough attention, you can see it's Poindexter holding the fork going up an elevator behind everybody else. And then the next time we get it is this transition of scenes where he's now used the fork to kill the officer, to take his clothes, to line up the shot.
It's so good because, like, if you know where it's going, you know where it's going. But, like, if you're loosely following, it really subverts your expectations with that final shot. And then after Matt takes the shot, a couple things here about color theory and film theory. When he dives over Fisk, his blood splatters onto his suit, creating that white and red contrast that you see in the thumbnail. This represents a couple of things. It's supposed to be recreating the Rabbit in a Snowstorm painting that now has the blood stain on it, but it's flipped this time with Matt's blood instead of Fisk's blood. And it's also recreating the Stark white and red. And also echoing, I just pieced this together as I was talking through this. It's echoing the show's themes of how these two characters cannot exist without each other. Yeah. Where because Matt has become Daredevil again, Fisk now has to step up and become the Kingpin of crime again. As they say in, I think it was in the first episode, or is it in the second episode with the diner scene, where if one of them steps out of line, the other will come in to correct. And that's exactly what we're showing here.
It's the diner scene. It's a scene because that's when they're talking past each other, because Matt, I don't think, has any engagement with Fisk in the first episode.
Maybe a tiny bit. I don't think so, because you're right, because the first episode ends with Fisk winning the election, and that shot of him. I'm gonna get back to this too. This all everything I'm saying is going to emanate my final point. The shot of him on top of the building emanated in light, and the shot of Matt on the bottom on the ground with being backlit by the like hobo fires, basically recreating the sinners in heaven and the righteous in hell.
Yep.
Which, like, that's another theme of the show, really, that they play on here also, because as I've said, Bullseye, anytime we see him, or from his point of view, screen is blue. At the end of the episode closes by fading to red, and it flips the shot upside down, representing that Matt is still a righteous man in hell.
Yeah.
And, like, oh my God, I love this episode.
So I love this episode. I do agree with that. My problem with the episode, because I always try to find a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a little bit of Matt going ahead and having more and more problems. This episode, just like Matt, like knocked it up to like 1,000.
Yeah.
Like, and I get, again, this is part of them trying to save and reuse whatever episodes and such they had already shot. And so I feel like there's one episode in between that's missing of him starting to go down this road.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was a little jarring to start with a big old fight between him and Heather. Besides that, this episode's fantastic. This is a very, very good episode. It left me wanting more. I sent to Justin afterwards. What was it? It was as soon as I finished it, I sent, this week's Daredevil is not a fair ending. Because it leaves you on the cliffhanger of Matt there bleeding out on the floor.
To which I replied when I watched it. There are 2 dead giveaways that this is a reshoot episode. 1, the way it's shot, and 2, it's actually good.
Yeah, and going on that comment, I don't think this is a reshoot episode. This is just an episode after the reshoot episodes were done.
Oh, yeah.
This is done by that entire creative team. Like,
yeah.
I don't know about you. I gave it a 5 out of 5.
This is a 5.
This is a 5. I figured this is where you were coming in at. In fact, I already threw it on the system.
There's just like too much great, phenomenal camera work and like color theory and editing that I can't give it anything but a 5.
Okay. So, this is something we haven't done. We're getting ready for the finale of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Poindexter back out in the wild. And Fisk has just been saved by Matt, and Matt is bleeding out. What is the finale? And who comes by and is in the episode?
Well, okay. We talk about this every week. We still haven't seen the shot from the trailer of the task force breaking into Matt's apartment. So I honestly think that it's clear he stepped out of line, and Fisk knows this. So I think Fisk is just going to send the task force on him. And I think that's how we're going to open this next episode once he is not healed, but like out of critical, which like it's a shot to the shoulder. He'll be fine. I think that's where we're going to start and kick off, because we still know that Punisher is coming back for one more episode.
So I think you and I are on different views of this next episode.
Okay.
I do agree. We know the Punisher is coming back.
Hmm.
I almost think the task force shot is a fake shot at this point.
You think so?
Because based on the way Fisk is currently running, I see him being a different character this next episode.
Okay.
At least for the first part of it. Because he's going to be... Because Matt just saved him. Straightforward. And Fisk is one that if you take a bullet for me or whatnot, he owes you.
Yeah.
I see it starting that way. I see it starting... Our probably opening shot is going to be in the hospital. Fisk is going to come by and probably hear Heather talking about how, again, these masked villains at this point are just boys out there doing whatever they want, causing problems, which is going to get Fisk involved. And I think what that shot is of the task force is the task force coming after the Punisher.
Oh, okay.
I know it's a little bit different because, again, it may still be Matt's apartment.
Yeah.
But it could be that he is currently at the apartment or whatnot. I think that's where we're going to start to go, because this is what's going to pull the last of the devil back out into the wild. We have to have that final heroic stance by the devil, and we either need Heather to find out that he is the devil and accept it, or she has to go ahead and disappear somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's just me pulling from the dark. We may be both totally wrong, but that's kind of where I see us going based on the way the episodes is. Do we get a bigger name from Marvel in the next episode? Because this is the rumor we've had this whole season.
I think
have we earned it?
They could just be trolling us and saying that when they appear, they're talking about the pop figure. And like, honestly, at this point, I kind of don't want a cameo. I want this to be self-contained. Which it already isn't, but like, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I get what you mean.
Like, the only one that would make sense is, you know.
What?
You know who I'm talking about.
The Man of the Spider?
The Man of the Spider. That's the only one that would really realistically make sense with, like, how the show is going and such. But, like, even then.
Well,
I don't know.
All honesty, after last night, because I've been thinking about this, because I knew I was going to ask a question. I'm thinking it might be Spider-Man.
If Sony lets them. That's the biggest thing.
If Sony lets them. Because, and my reasoning behind it is Matt has already come out and saved Peter Parker before. And so I see him showing up and trying to even if it's only like a 2-second thing to stop Matt from going to the full part of murdering someone, or showing up just to help him escape from something.
Yeah.
I kind of see us leading to that, because then that also, and this is why I think Sony would be okay with this, it also introduces Tom Holland Spider-Man to Wilson Fisk.
Please, dude, please.
Because I think everybody in the industry has agreed that he is Wilson Fisk. You cannot recast Wilson Fisk at this point. And straightforward, I could see in one of our Spider-Man movies we have coming down the pipeline, Fisk being in it finally.
Okay.
I'll hear you out.
If season 2 releases around the same time next year, Daredevil will be in Spider-Man 4, and the main villain will be Kingpin.
And I believe it is scheduled for the same time next year, because it's already done being shot.
They're gonna wrap filming in May.
Oh, sorry.
So, basically.
But yeah, so it should be being released about the same time.
Yeah.
It may be Spider-Man.
It may be Spider-Man.
Because, again, it may be setting up for that next Spider-Man movie.
Now, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but I'll keep it in the back of my mind that next week, I'll either be like ecstatic, instant 5 out of 5, or it's going to be an instant 1, and I'm going to be disappointed.
If it's She-Hulk, I'm disappointed.
It's not going to be She-Hulk. She-Hulk lives in San Francisco. It doesn't make sense for her to come to New York.
Again, I'm just going to put it out there. If it's She-Hulk, I'm disappointed.
Also, the way that the season is going, it doesn't make sense for her to come, because, like, realistically, the only reason why she would is if she had a court case out here. Because
what about Senator Bucky?
I mean, he's in everything, but like, I don't
correct
see why, especially seeing how according to the trailer shown at CinemaCon, we watch him get elected in Thunderbolts. Also, timeline-wise, I don't think this lines up with that.
Well, but he may not be senator. I'm using senator because we know he's going to be.
I don't think it's going to be Bucky because he's.
The only reason I said Bucky is because it sets up Thunderbolts.
Yeah, he's in everything already. Yeah. I don't know.
Because there's nobody else from that movie I could see showing up.
Yeah. I don't think anybody else from that movie would.
Mr. Fantastic.
I wish.
Just to mess up the timeline even more.
Please.
You want to mess up the timeline more?
No.
Well, do you want to know where then, by the end of episode 8, our average is at?
Okay, what were we at last week?
8.9 to 8.57.
We're definitely back in 9. I'm going to go with 9.1.
9.06.
Round up.
If you round up, it's 9.1. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's a solid score. If you haven't watched Daredevil, you're missing out.
You're missing out.
There are a couple okay mid episodes. They still ranked above mid in our opinions, but they were mid. But the show overall, it's solid.
It's phenomenal.
We'll probably have a long talk next week. Like this was a long talk.
This was long, but like next week we're gonna go over a series overview as well, or a season overview. So, and my score might change as well on episode 5 if it gets recontextualized in episode 9.
Because 5 was the
bank. Yeah, that feels like filler.
It does feel like filler. Mine might be shifting also. I'm at a 5 right now on it. I still like the episode.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, it's still a great episode. It just overall doesn't play into the bigger season. And that's why my score was lower. I think I was on like a 4 on it, right?
You're a 4.5.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right.
Well, if you made it to this part of the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Join us on Saturday, or join at least me and somebody on Saturday for the focused episode of the Popculture Jungle, where we're going to talk about a topic. I don't know what. And then join us on Tuesday at 6 p.m., where we will go back into the regular episodes of the Popculture Jungle, where we talk about anything and everything that we want to talk about. This week we touched in on everything from the Olympics to Lorcana to Tron to Epic Universe.
I would talk to you about Tron because I was saving it for Tuesday, but I couldn't make it this week.
Nope, so you missed it.
Oh, no!
Justin will have his review for Minecraft, and I will probably have mine. As I put it to Jamie last night, just to be honest with you, there will be 2 parts to my review. There will be the serious part that I know it's probably going to critically rank bad at.
Oh, the critical part, and then the actual review?
And then the actual review, understanding that this is a meme movie. This is a joke.
It's 100% a popcorn movie. It's not made for critics. It is made for audiences.
It's not even made for... It's a joke. It was made as a joke, and it's made over $300 million. So...
Hold on.
We talked about the numbers last night against Snow White.
Oh, that must have been horrific.
Steve had to fight Snow White. Steve unfortunately accidentally dug the hole for Snow White also at the same time.
Yeah.
He also did it for Captain America at this point too.
That's funny. All right. Sorry.
Are you good?
Yeah.
You just told me to wait, so I was waiting.
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers.
No, yeah. I told you I knew where they were.
336.
336. Oh yeah.
Third highest domestic April weekend.
Yeah. It's a bit ridiculous.
Right.
It does not look
behind
good.
Avengers Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah. Apparently,
that's
and remember, this thing cost a nickel and a dime to make.
oh yeah.
They used a shoestring holding up a green screen and shot the entire thing in like an afternoon. Come on now. Like this, how this thing is making the money it's making is crazy.
Yeah, I feel like the budget is only inflated because of the development hell it was in.
Probably. Anywho, again, you made this part of the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment.
Comic accurate Kingpin suit.
There you go. And until next time, see you later.
Bye.